Welcome to a special Priori podcast. This month has been absolutely mad. For anybody who didn't know, I was knocked off my motorbike mid-May, and I only went back to work last week. So for pretty much the entirety of June, I've had it off work. I've not had a lot to do and stuff like that. But of course, the deadline for the Priori.co.uk is always the last week in June. I went back to work last week of June. I'm going on holiday on Wednesday, the 6th. I then come back. I then have an election that I'm running for my town council in rural Bedfordshire to try and give something back to the community, and then I have an AGM for the political party that I'm a member of, where I'm the secretary. So it's just been so busy this week. And then we went to the joint to record July's podcast with Harry and Jack, and had Andrew and Lewis speaking to us via Skype, and we thought it all went quite well. And I listened to it back, and it just sounded shit. It didn't sound how I wanted it to sound. So I got onto Skype this afternoon, and saw that Angela was online. I was like, Angela, can you just chat to me for a bit? Because we have keen political conversations and stuff like that, and studied at uni together. So she kindly said that we could have a chat this evening, and I had various technical issues with my laptop, but we got there in the end. And we actually had a really nice chat, and it was a little bit staged because I had to record it in two separate bits. But Angela's very eloquent and an excellent person to speak to. So we put together this short little podcast that I hope you like. And basically, it's the backlash of Brexit. What has the knock-on effect of Britain voting to leave the EU had in Angela's native country of Spain. And it was just a really, really powerful insight in terms of what Britain forgets its role in the world is. And we had something I completely forgot about was how Britain negotiates Gibraltar, and the people of Gibraltar are technically British, and how we negotiate leaving the EU and allowing them to basically have a very powerful relationship with their neighbours who are in the European Union. We don't really have that in Britain because we're an island nation. And France does seem foreign in the way that Gibraltar continually mashes up Spanish and British culture and customs in the way that I just don't think the mainland is used to. Just before we dive into the podcast, I would just like to again point you in the direction of the Priori.co.uk. We've had a really, really good month, really strong month in terms of the articles that we've received. Some brand new contributors. We've had famous bloggers coming from other blogs to help us out and sharing bits and pieces. If you're interested in Polish politics or food or travel, these are sort of things that we haven't covered before, but we've really unlocked with this month's Priori. And hoping to grow the fan base of that, and the podcasts have been seem to go down really well with everybody who's listened to them. So thank you for that. And I hope this one's no different. This is just sort of a one-off special, and I'm going to try and do as many sort of weekly ones as we can, shorter weekly ones, because whilst the one with Jack and Harry was really good fun to record, there was almost too much to get through. A month really isn't enough, so I'm going to try and do more of this more often, because I think we managed to cover one specific topic really nicely. So Angela Munoz Aroca, I'm going to see, this is why Brits don't speak Spanish. Angela was with me on the 4th of July. And I hope you enjoy this week's Priori podcast. I'll speak to you again at the end. Cheers. Bye. Angela, who is talking to me via Skype all the way from Spain. Hello, Angela, you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, well that is good to hear. So you're Spanish, having studied in at the University of Sheffield with me, which is how we met. What is the feeling over in Spain about Brexit, Britain leaving the European Union? Has this fueled any other? I don't know what you'd Branish brain sort of groups over there. Is there momentum now for Spain to leave the European Union?
Well, I don't think the Brexit thing could happen in Spain for the moment at least, but it really had a big impact in our like political reality in our daily lives. In especially, I work for a company that is in the stock market, in the Spanish one, and has like a lot of business in the UK. And it was a great shock the morning after. It was like the feeling at the office was just we were all shocked. We didn't really know what was going to be next. Like all the media were calling everyone know what to say. Of course, the company have their official talking to say that everything was fine, that it was not going to have a great impact in the company. But we all knew that that's absolutely not true because when you are working in a European environment, like the exit of one of the members is just very shocking. And it also had an effect in our national politics because few days after, like this was on Thursday, and on Sunday it was our general elections for the second time this year, and it had a great impact because like suddenly all the votes that were like kind of divided before, a lot of people that were voting different parties went back to the Conservative Party. One of the explanation was that with this uncertain era that we are starting with the Brexit, people didn't feel confident to have greater changes in their national politics and prefer to stay in what they already knew, even if it was and it is damaging for our society. But the Brexit also had an impact in the national politics of another party, of another country. Sorry.
So knowing what we do know now, and knowing that Britain is going to leave, we've had mass resignations of the Prime Minister. We've had Boris Johnson, everyone who thought was going to be the succeeding Prime Minister. Nigel Farage, the leader of UKIP, arguably one of the driving forces behind Brexit. They're all resigning. There's an awful lot of uncertainty in British politics, but there's also a lot of feelings in and around the union that this isn't what people wanted. And for example, the Northern Irish and the Scottish people who actually voted to stay are now having a discussion in and of themselves of whether they should have an independence referendum to see if they would want to stay in. Now, knowing about Spanish political history and the almost federal regional system that happened, and particularly the splits between the Catalans and the Basque in particular wanting to split from Spain. Is any of that having any momentum? Has Brexit actually enforced that idea that somehow people going alone might well be the best option, particularly within Spain?
Okay. Yeah, I really think it will have an impact. It's actually not necessarily is gonna grow bigger the feeling of certain parts of Catalonia to leave Spain. But if I think that if it was the country of Spain who decided to leave the European Union, we would certainly have a kind of civil war or a civil confrontation with the Basque Country and the Catalonia, because one of the reasons they feel kind of more comfortable with the rest of the countries because they can be members of the EU and they get a lot of benefits because of that. So of course, like I'm not sure if it's gonna have a direct impact, the Brexit, on the Catalonian feelings because they are growing in the last couple of years and it's not stopping and it's not, I mean, like they have their own path. But certainly if what happened in the UK was happening in Spain, they will try directly to go by themselves, as could be with Scotland and Northern Ireland in the UK.
Okay, so I mean that's the situation in Spain at the minute. Now, as you were telling me earlier, you're actually looking at coming over here to work. Has Brexit either, and not only for you but other people you know, has it impacted people's decisions on whether they want to either get to the UK now while we're still in the European Union and we still have free movement until Article 50 is triggered and we technically still are in the EU, or are people, or I mean not just you but I mean other people you know who are over here, is there a feeling that the people who are here already should get out as quickly as possible in order to not be stereotyped, not be harassed? We've had lots of statistics about hate crimes going up. I mean, is that a worry for you, or are you actually seeing the opportunity of Britain staying in for this short time as your window of opportunity to come over?
To be honest, before I was really sure I wanted to work in the UK. I saw my future there because I'm very interested about the culture. I'm very interested about like all the charities and NGOs that are working in the country and how well they work. And this is a file that really interests me and is not that big or that strong in my country. So it was always an option for me. But after the Brexit, one of my first feelings was like, would it be a future for me in that country? Or like, for example, if now I get the job and I'm going for an interview, what would it be about me in like about myself in 1 year or 2 years when the Brexit finally finishes as it is supposed to finish? So of course it gives you a lot of doubts and you feel like probably in other European countries that are still members of the EU, you will feel more comfortable because you know how to operate. Like you don't have to think further, like what should I bring, which other papers should I make to in terms to go and live into this country. So of course it gives you a weird feeling. And I also have friends that are living in the UK and they're Spanish, and it's also affecting them. One of them is living in a house with two British people that they have always had a great relationship and everything. And she was shocked when she realized that both of them vote for Brexit, and they were trying to explain her their reasons, and she was like, mm, I cannot even understand. Like, how do you want me to understand those reasons that you are giving me? You know, it's like they are going against me and against what I believe. That is like we are all the same people. I cannot understand why did you vote for that if you are sharing your life with another European citizen, working with this person and doing almost everything. It makes absolutely no sense. So of course, it's giving a weird feeling and not a very comfortable one. To I may say, like I think for people from other European countries.
Oh no, that is awful. I think the problem is probably everybody in Britain knows somebody like that and has voted for Brexit for those reasons, and it's so disheartening knowing that my fellow British citizens think that way, and it's so idiotic. I mean, in terms of what you were saying, I mean, do you think? I mean, purely hypothetical from an outsider looking in. And I mean, do you think that actually now the UK does have an opportunity, particularly concern in our higher education facilities and stuff like that? We studied together and studied the European Union together in Sheffield, and the thing that I've had quite a few discussions with people have been whether we think that actually Britain does have a certain level of, a unique selling point, is that so many people do want to come and learn here. Do you see that that's going to change? Do you think Britain can afford it to change with the amount of European Union and foreign students studying in Britain?
It may have an impact, but I don't think it's gonna be such a big one because basically most of the students that go to study to Britain, they are overseas already, so they are like working with different terms that other European ones. But what I think they will lose is a lot of, I don't know, like everybody wanted to go there because it has an excellent academic, like excellent academic institutions, excellent teachers coming from all above the world, but also many European countries, and this is going to become more difficult. Many professionals will prefer to stay in other countries with good institutions that can give them a more, I could say a safer position while working. So I think it may impact one of the most appealing claims of Great Britain, that is their academic institutions, and they were that great because they were also very multicultural and international, and they just learn from everywhere and were able to teach people from everywhere as well. So I guess this will have a great impact, and it will have an impact as well to the economy in the country.
I mean, speaking about the economy of Britain, does Spain face a real crisis? I mean, Gibraltar was the first result to come in for Britain. It was 96% supported remaining in the EU for obvious reasons. But do you think the economy of Spain is going to be affected negatively by Britain leaving, not only through just general tourism, but also people will not be able, well, we don't know this quite yet, but there is a potential that people will not be able to retire in Spain. Do you see that being a real impact, or do you think actually it will be negotiated to a point where they can't actually afford for it to change?
It will certainly have an impact in our economy, and also in the British economy, because I was reading reports about it, and I don't remember which number, but like I think the UK is the third or the fourth market for Spanish companies. We're actually in many files like banking, infrastructures, services, and we have like a great deal of market in the UK that is gonna be totally affected by the Brexit. And also all the British people that decide to, when they become older, to come to Spain and retire, and they help our economy, but like it's also a way of living for them because they wouldn't afford that many things in being back in their countries. So it will have like a great impact for both economies. I don't know, like probably Spain would suffer it a bit more, but like the UK will also suffer it to a certain extent.
I mean, do you think then this is the point where Spain may want to do their own individual deal with Britain, because not only do you have a great number of Brits living in Spain, but a great number of Brits retiring in Spain, so they are going to be a negative impact on the Spanish healthcare system, for example, because the likelihood of them needing healthcare is much higher. Do you think that maybe then this is not only this is actually more of an opportunity for the Spanish and the Brits to form their own deal and actually get a good deal for both? Or do you think that this is just going to be something that Spain are just going to be spoken for by the EU?
Um, it could happen. I think like certainly they have to do something about it because like their connection is unavoidable, and you can just not forget about the people that are from your nationality and they are like living in the other country. And as well as we have like great numbers of older people in Spain, uh, Great Britain has a lot of young people from Spain that they are like leaving to find their own future, and they cannot be forgotten either. So of course, like I guess they will make a kind of commercial plan, but I think it will be with the whole Europe, because I don't think this is gonna be just like kind of like this is not going. The purpose is not to isolate Great Britain, just to accept the decision of the population and to try to deal as better as we can with our neighbors from now onwards. And also I think like the relations between Spain and Great Britain would need to be like really, like they will still have to have a very close relationship for the issue of Gibraltar, that it could be a great disaster for European politics, because it has been like in kind of a standby relation and no discussion because of our like our membership in the European Union. But now my government in functions, but it will probably be the government anyway for the next 4 years, are already making kind of not very respectful comments about this territory that they feel as Spanish, even if it's British for for a long while. So certainly they will have like to achieve an agreements in very different files, and the relationship will need to be very productive for the good of all of us.
Well, I mean, speaking of British territory near Spain, do you think perhaps this is an opportunity for Spain to, well, for Gibraltar to join Spain again? Because this, without the all the other things that go about in terms of Gibraltar's positioning and being just north of Africa and at the most southern point of Europe, it is handy. Well, handy in a military sense, anyway. Do you think though the people of Gibraltar, the people who had a 96% Remain vote, this is the time when they might actually turn around and go, actually, we want to be part. We want the freedoms of the European Union?
I really do not think so, because they are British citizens. It's a really awkward situation, because I don't really can. I don't know. Like I think that's quite unique in the European Union stuff, and they are British citizens. Is I mean, like they want to remain British, but they want to remain in the European Union because they know their lives will be much more difficult if they have to deal every single part of their lives with a country that is surrounded them and that does not really agree on like that they are there and that they are still British citizens, but that's what they are. So I don't know what will happen with this territory, but it will really need to find new ways, and the relationship should get much better in terms of the new era, because they are British citizens. They are not gonna become Spanish, I think, and we can just not take the territory by force or anything. So we will need to learn how to deal with each other in a new term of our relationships.
So, is this when we all get round the table and when we are discussing what the future of Britain leaving the European Union will look like? How important do you think Gibraltar needs to be on that list of priorities? How high up do you think it is? Because I mean, despite the people from Europe who live in Britain, the people who work in Britain and things like that, that's quite easy to work out, because we have people who live and work in different countries all the time and who aren't in a area of free movement. But it's very, very rare for there to be citizens hundreds of miles away at the bottom of a continent that are ruled independently from an island at the north of the continent. Do you think that actually this is a situation that the media hasn't picked too much on and is going to be one of the most contested issues when it comes around to Article 50 and Britain, what Britain will look like out of the European Union?
Okay, I think like the easiest thing, because we know how the EU works, and like the remaining countries in the European Union, we still follow the same rules and we still operate in the same way. So what makes more sense to me, but I'm not an expert on immigration at all or anything, is that the UK will have like it will be easier for the UK to deal with the whole continent, as like with the continent as a whole, like to deal with European citizens, whether they are coming from Spain or France, and to deal every single like to have an agreement with every single country would be much more costly and time consuming, and I don't think how good could it be, because I don't know if the other like if the remaining European countries in the EU would agree to have these differences with the UK. But yeah, I'm not an expert in immigration. That's what I could guess. And like certainly the UK will find a good deal with the rest of the continent to have their citizens come in and having some benefits for still, even if they are not members of the EU.
Okay, well, I mean, I know you say there that you're not an expert on immigration, but do you think Britain is going to really struggle to negotiate complete control of its own borders, and basically there will have to be some free movement still allowed, or do you think the negotiation will be that Britain can have complete control of its borders again?
I think they will struggle a lot because the EU has already showed their teeth. Like the most important, not the most important, but the most powerful countries in Europe have said like they want if they have to leave, it has to be quickly and it has to be as soon as possible. And I don't think they are gonna give the UK that many facilities in terms of getting what they want. Like if we continue our relation as before, but like with much more benefits, I think the EU should show a kind of more a harder face and to show that it's not that easy, that it really makes a difference to be a member than not to be one. And they will struggle because I don't think the continent will let them to have free movement of goods and to have like very good commercial deals, but to definitely close their borders and do not let any free movement of workers and citizens. So I think they will struggle a lot. And I actually think the agreement that David Cameron and the other European countries achieved in February, in terms of it was going to be harder for European immigrants to go and live there. It was really good for the UK, and they didn't have to leave, and they would still have all the benefits and much less responsibilities than till now. So I don't think the EU will give them a better deal than the one they accorded for, just to convince the UK to stay in the EU.
Well, Angela, thank you so much for chatting to me for the Priori podcast. I will catch up with you later on. Hopefully, you get this job in Britain, and I can see you a bit more frequently than the last time I saw you 18 months ago. But thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that podcast with Angela. I think we had a really nice chat about the effect of Brexit on Spain and the people there. Again, I'd just like to point you in the direction of the Priori.co.uk, the online political magazine that I hope you'll read with lots of interest every month, and continue to support us. We do have a donate button there. Any financial contributions really help us get better quality recording and equipment, and it helps with the running of the site. Again, apologies for the July podcast. The very sound quality was not incredible, hence then this one, which I think sounds a wee bit better. I am the editor, Kestell Duxbury, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I will catch up with you probably after I've had a mental breakdown during the middle weeks of July, when I appear to be the busiest person in the world. I'm going on jury duty. So I hope I get to send down some axe murder or something like that. But cheers, bye.